Hello, all, and welcome to the Unlucky Few. My name is Liz, this is Penelope, and today we'll be playing some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Specifically, we will be playing our first of 5 session zeros to kind of work our way into the campaign, kind of get everyone a little bit used to playing their characters and stuff. So, first up with me is the wonderful Maddie.
Hi, I play T, who is a Stormskull Ganassi monk. Also, disclaimer, I am getting over pneumonia, so I will have a wicked cough, and my voice isn't going to be the best. I have an accent I'm going to try and do. We'll see how well it works.
I can already hear you slipping into it slightly.
Well, you know.
Must be excited. Alright, well, without much further ado, I think it would be best for all involved if we just hopped right into the session. Alright, so you have been traveling alone for almost a year now at this point on your own personal quest, looking for a certain someone. You've left your monk monastery, which you have lived at for a number of years now. You've made your way high and low all around the area surrounding it until you finally found your way back to a place that you swore you would never visit again. This place was once your home, it was where you were born, it is the city of Baldur's Gate. You remember it for its oceanside charms and its ability to look the other way when anything happens to someone of your specific race.
Racism.
Fantastical racism. But anyway, you are strolling in. You have just made it to the edges of the Dust Town, which you remember is where a lot of the less fortunate races live, or simply those who don't have the money or the means to improve their station. Would you like to describe to us your character as you are walking along this dusty road?
Well, I am wearing kind of baggy monk-style black pants that have silver kind of accents that kind of look pre-mortal in nature. I have kind of just kind of black wraps for my top. I don't really have much else. I have a little pack with me to hold what minimal belongings I have. I don't wear shoes, don't really have anything for my hands, just maybe a little bit of wrappings to make sure that I don't split my knuckles every time I punch someone. I also have a staff with me that I have tinkered with and made my own. It is kind of mostly purple with carvings similar to my soldar, which are mostly on my arms and torso, and fastened to the top I have a small blade. And you can kind of check out my character introduction video if you want a more detailed, although I kind of went into pretty good detail already of my physical appearance. My mouse, Mosh, is kind of just sitting on my shoulder as I'm walking in.
Mosh.
Mosh.
Alright, so as you are strolling in, are you keeping an eye out for anything in particular, or kind of anywhere you want to head?
Anyone that isn't human or high elf, I'm going up to, showing them a flyer that I have, and asking them, have you seen this man?
What does the flyer look like?
It says in big bold lettering up at the top, missing. Has a picture of a man who kind of looks possibly human in nature, you can't really tell. And then at the bottom it says if your information needs to him being it says reward if information needs to his being something along the lines of you'll get a reward if you find him. So I'm just showing it to everyone.
Alright, as you're strolling in, there are a couple of people just sort of kind of currently making their way out of the city. You see a caravan come past of like mostly humans. As the human man driving it kind of like looks up and spots you, he sort of just like kind of shifts a little bit closer to the child sitting next to him and just like kind of glares at you as he sort of defensively like postures over the child.
I spit on the ground in his direction.
He whips the horses and tries to get out of there even faster as you see the carriage just go.
Just curse under my breath in Orcish and continue along the path.
Alright, so next you actually come across two tiefling men that are just sort of kind of like sitting on the front steps of kind of like a rickety sort of ramshackle hut that is not necessarily well built, but pretty standard for what you would find in the Dusttown section. They're just kind of like just sitting there talking. One of them like looks up and makes eye contact with you as he sees you probably like 25, 30 feet away at this point, sort of walking into the town, and just sort of like gives you a nod and then kind of like goes back. It seems that like once you get to the more like less concerned like races that are sort of low down on the totem pole, there seems to be at least a camaraderie that exists within the misery.
Well, the eye contact was all I needed to go over and ask him, have you seen this man?
The one who nodded at you looks at it and just goes, can't say I have, no.
Well, if you do see anything, let me know. I'll, unfortunately, be around for a little while.
Will do, I guess.
Thanks. And then I walk away.
Right. So, I imagine this is your plan. So I would say for the next probably 15 or 20 minutes, you kind of canvas probably like 7 or 8 like, they're not necessarily blocks, but like 7 or 8 sections of like small sections of this like ramshackle dust town, asking anyone who you think like wouldn't get really angry with you for asking them this if they've seen him.
If they try and ask any like follow-up questions or like what, who, what, I just walk away. I don't even answer any of their questions.
You unfortunately get no leads. No one has. I was gonna make you roll for it, but there's there'd be no point of trying if there's no chance for success. But yeah, everyone, a couple people have like kind of like take a look and just like they're like, he looks pretty familiar, but I can't say that like I know him, and I can't say that I've like seen him, certainly not recently. So it seems like there might be at least a couple of people that like maybe remember seeing him around back before, but it's to the point where like they aren't even able to like pick out who he is in their minds. So you don't really get much of anywhere in like the 15-20 minutes that you're looking.
All right. Well, I would just continue along. That's the only reason why I'm here. If I can clear the city, then I can move on.
As you kind of walk into like a new section of the town, you see another tiefling man. This one wearing like he's got like lightish blue skin. He's got like a black cloak on with like a hood kind of like draped on the back, so it's not like pulled up or anything. And he's just sort of like standing at like the mouth of an alleyway, just sort of leaning against one of the buildings. Kind of looks up to you and then just kind of like looks down.
Have you seen this man?
Are you still holding up the poster?
Yeah.
He does look pretty familiar. Kind of studies it a bit. Is that a tallish half-orc fella?
He's got some height.
I think I remember seeing him. I don't know, it's really hard to remember sometimes.
Well, and she'll kind of hold it. If your information leads to him being found, there's a reward.
Oh, is there now? Well, that kind of makes it slightly easier. Where have I seen that face? Actually, might have been in the tavern just the other night.
Which one?
Which one? Oh, sweetheart, there's only one tavern down here.
All right.
It's the Sweets. Let's go.
Okay.
He turns and begins walking down the alley. You can kind of see the light on the other side in between these two buildings.
I'll follow.
He gets about 3/4 of the way down the alley.
And I have my staff ready because I don't fucking trust him.
and stops and turns around and goes, you know, now that I think about it, he doesn't look that familiar, but neither do you.
I'm already walking backwards.
There's two people at the other end of the alley now, just with their arms crossed in the same cloak that he was in. As they're both just like looking at you, just kind of like a small smirk on one of their faces. The other one is just glaring at you. So, new to town?
No.
Really? That's strange, because we tend to know most everyone in town, and we sure as shit don't know you.
I've been gone for a while, but I've spent a decent amount of time in the city.
Have you now? Well, then you certainly must know who we are.
Honestly, I never took the time to learn any of you ruffians' names.
Are you still facing the two that are blocking the one way, or are you facing the guy that's talking to you again?
I imagine I would have like sensed them behind me and would have stopped walking, not within their reach, so they can't like stab me in the back, and kept my eyes on him.
On the one talking?
Yeah.
Alright, so as like a brooch, he has a little gold circular English common circular brooch on. It has like a pile of coins on the bottom of it, and then a picture of like a beholder sitting on top of the coins. And actually you were into a bit of the criminal activity back when you were in Baldur's Gate previously, yes?
More than a little.
Make a history check with advantage. First roll of the session 0.
16 and 15. So my intelligence makes that a 15.
Oh, those negative modifier bonuses. Even with a 15, though, you immediately recognize this symbol with a small feeling of in your stomach. This is the symbol of the guild. They are simply known as the guild. They are the like thieves underworld guild in Baldur's Gate. They run Dusttown. They run like the nobles, like the noble district. They run like the market district, the dock district, everything. If there is another like group of criminals in like the city, they operate through them. Like they are the guild. You would have heard about them just because like you knew not to cross them, because there are people in like the guild capable of just like burning entire buildings to the ground with just a flick of their fingers. So they're not someone to trifle with.
Would I have ever done any work with or for them? Because I did do some.
I'm going to say no, just because you seem like the person who would do stuff more for yourself, and also because once you're in, you don't get out. Well, you can get out, but you're not living.
Got it.
So the three of them are just kind of like still looking at you. So he notices your eyes go to that, and he's like, oh, so now do you know who we are?
Unfortunately.
Right, so you know that I'd hate to have trouble on this fine morning. You know, there's no reason for all of our days to be ruined by such a dreadful circumstance that we find ourselves in now. So I'll tell you what, since you seem to know the town at least a little bit, you're not entirely new. We're certainly not going to be too unreasonable. Just leave all of the gold that you currently possess on the ground, walk out of the alley, and never speak of this again. And we'll be good. The possessions on your back, you're welcome to keep, including that fancy looking.
Do you think I'm stupid enough to walk with gold? I'm advertising I have a reward to give. Do you think I'm dumb enough to walk around with it? It's obviously hidden somewhere.
Well, considering you were dumb enough to follow me into an alley, yes, I do.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're surely mistaken.
You hear a like the kind of like light clink of metal scraping against each other and like bouncing up and down. Before you see another face kind of like peer into this alleyway. It appears to be someone in not necessarily. So you know that there's two kinds of guards that exist in Baldur's Gate. There is it's either the Flaming Fist or the Burning Fist. I'm gonna have to look it up what it is. That's the one run by one of the four counselors of Baldur's Gate. Is sort of like the militia of Baldur's Gate that kind of keep the peace. And then there's also just like the public guards of Baldur's Gate. And this seems to be like a public guard that kind of like looks his head in the alleyway and just goes, "Oi, what's going on?" So, and they kind of like turn around and they're like, "Oh shit. Nothing. We're just talking to our friend here, right?"
They're trying to bite me.
I'm sorry. Did you say?
Yes, I did.
All right. So the guard is going to. Oh man, we're gonna be tackling some big issues early on here. So the guard would walk into the alleyway and just go, "They're trying to what? I'll have you know, in this city, he kind of is like looking at him, looks over to you for a second, and then the words just die in his mouth and just goes, oh. Kind of like looks at the tiefling. She's a fucking elemental. And then the tiefling the guard just like looks at you, glares, spits in your direction, and then proceeds to back up to the mouth of the alley, turn his back, cross his arms, and just kind of like look out into the street.
Right.
Yeah, welcome to that racism.
So I'll have to, like, because I figured something like this would happen, most of my gold is hidden in my pack, but on my waist I have a gold pouch that I have 4 gold in. I will take that off my belt and put it on the ground.
See, now that wasn't so hard, was it? It's all we had to do, and now we can just... He is interrupted by a voice that literally sounds like sunshine and rainbows personified. I can only imagine, knowing your character as well as I do, grates on your ears to an extent. But since you're not looking at him, you hear from at some point behind you. Hey, where'd you get off to? Oh, are you down here? And then, I don't know if you're turning to look at it, but you would hear some like rough, like rustling behind you.
Honestly, I don't want to know what's back there.
You're not looking?
No.
You hear some rustling, and then you hear, "Excuse, get out of my way." And then you hear like some stumbling forward, and then finally someone like standing up and just steps approaching you now. They seem pretty light as far as steps and dust go. They're not very loud steps, but they're approaching you. You are about, I would say, maybe this alleyway is maybe like 30 feet long. You're about 10 feet from the guards. You hear the steps approaching you.
I'm just gonna sigh. I'm like, you obviously have the wrong fucking person.
You would feel a hand on your shoulder. I don't know if you're looking now.
I guess.
All right. So, how tall is T?
5'8".
I think she's little, but I'm not sure. At least littler than that. Yeah. So, looking down about 4 inches, you find what maybe at first glance might be an elf, but there's definitely something too weird about her to be an elf. You see a small girl, about 5'4", kind of young looking. She's got a staff on her back. She's wearing like a pretty simple like robe that you would have not exactly especially the colors and like the quality of it, not exactly like the ones you would see in the Mage Academy, like occasionally when you watched one of them go past when you used to live in the city, but something of that sort. And she also has one of the signature kind of like pointed hats with the top kind of like well worn, so the brim is sort of like sagging a bit, and the pointy top is definitely like punched in, kind of like hanging off to one side. She has a staff on her back. She has like really light blue hair, which is definitely not a natural hair color for an elf. The same color eyes, and her skin is like really, really pale white, almost with like the slightest of like glowy blue undertones. And as she kind of puts her hand on your arm, you can kind of feel from nowhere just a very faint breeze.
Again, you have the wrong person.
What? I know we haven't seen each other in a while, but come on, you really don't have to be like that. This is my cousin. I've been waiting for her this entire day. She must have wandered off somewhere. We met up back at the gate and everything. The tiefling at this point is just flabbergasted, just like, why you stop? You couldn't stop her? She was like the other two guards. The two guards are just like shrugging. She bends down, picks up your little packet of gold you put on the ground, and like raises back up to you.
I very quickly just like swipe it off my hand.
All right. Well, thank you guys for finding her. We're gonna be going now, and she, still holding onto your arm, begins walking forward towards the tiefling guy.
I'll have one hand on my staff, I guess, since she's kind of pulling me along.
You get up side by side, and he's like, "You can't can you stop?" Looks at the guard, like trying to do something, because the guard at this point is kind of turned around, and she gets to the mouth of the alley. The guard like sort of like begins to like reach out just to like stop you to kind of apprehend what's going on with the situation. As he's like here, and the two of you're like here. She's kind of standing in between you two. She just sort of gives like a light kind of like bump into him that seems to somehow like sweep him back like a foot and sort of like blow him, like it almost seems like a powerful gust of wind just sort of like took him back a little bit and forced him to like take a step back so he could no longer reach out and grab any of you. She kind of quickly takes about 2 more steps before looking at you. We should probably run.
Yep, got it.
You take off?
Yeah.
You take off down the alley. You hear from the tiefling, "Hey, wait!" They don't bother to give chase. It seems like this entire... He kind of was able to see the amount of gold that you were leaving on the ground and has kind of like decided that like, you know what, probably not worth it. But yeah, you run off for probably maybe 100 or so feet before kind of like turning down one of the side streets and just sort of stopping against one of the buildings there with this new mystery friend who just so happened to walk down your alley.
Still holding the gold pouch, I start opening it. All right, how much?
How much for what? I haven't offered you anything.
Getting me out of that situation.
Oh, that? Oh, you're fine for that. I don't like to see those, pardon my French, meanies take advantage of people.
She audibly scoffs. Also, what's French?
All right, listen. Doesn't matter. She kind of just like, "Oh, sorry, that was kind of rude of me not to introduce myself, but it seems like that was kind of a situation we wanted to get out of as quickly as possible. I'm Gab."
Gab?
G-A-B, short for Gabrielle.
Okay. Have you seen this man?
Nope.
Cool.
What's your name?
T.
T? Oh, that's such a cool name.
I guess.
Oh. I really like your things. She points to your soldari.
Thanks. I didn't ask for them.
Well, no, but still, they're pretty cool. You don't see a lot of people walking around here with them because not a lot of people like, you know.
Yes, I'm aware.
Ganassi. Has anyone tried to be really rude to you?
Well, I told that guard that I was going to be raped, and he turned the other way.
Yeah, they tend to do that. I think the only reason I'm able to get away with it sometimes is because I look kind of...
young.
Elfy.
Oh. That too, I guess.
Not an elf, though.
I've gathered that.
Primordial, she says specific. Well, you can speak all the primordials, right? Not just one specific one.
It just says primordial.
All right, cool. Because I know there's like all the. But in Primordial, she says, all right, well, I mean, I guess that saves me the time of having to explain that.
I'll answer in primordial. Yes.
Oh man, I knew it was gonna be a good day, but I never thought I'd get to make another Ganassi friend. This is so much fun. Do you have a place to stay while you're here? It seems like you are kind of new to town, despite the fact that I said you weren't new to town. I kind of lied.
I am not new, but I'm just going to spend the night in some alley. It's fine.
Well, that's not a very good place to stay. You're gonna wind up with people like that again.
I can handle myself.
What if I said that there was a way that you could get a room at the inn here?
I'd say you're joking.
The tavern here. I mean, it's a tavern in Dusttown, so it's not like the best, but it also means that it's run by this really, really nice Ferox lady. So she kind of isn't mean to people like us. She gets it too.
Openly lets people know she's Ferox.
It'd be a little hard to hide, I'm not gonna lie. The elk antlers on her head kind of give it away.
Most of the ones I've met have broken them off or shaved them down.
Not her. I mean, I feel like at this point she's kind of reached an understanding with a lot of the more inclined races here, that as long as she keeps her business strictly to the Dust Town, they kind of don't mind as much, because she's not really affecting anything that's like, you know, in their little fancy city and stuff. So, but yeah, she's also way too proud to ever do anything like that. She's a pretty cool lady.
Perhaps a drink, but I'd still rather not waste my money on a room when I can just sleep outside.
What if I told you there was a way to get one for free?
I'd be interested.
There's always odd jobs that she needs to have done, and if you do one for her, then she'll let you stay for free. Sometimes if it's like a slightly tricky job, she'll even do it for like a week. Also free drinks.
Alright, I'm in.
Alright, let's go. It's, once again, he wasn't lying about that one. It's the only tavern in Dusttown. It's the Sweets.
Okay.
So, do you go with her? She drags you off to the next adventure?
I suppose.
As she is kind of like walking along with you, is there anything you would like to do? Anything you would like to say as you make this short walk?
I still try and ask anyone in the area, have you seen this man?
Make an investigation check.
Uh-oh. Well, that's a 6, so I'm not even going to subtract 1 from that.
5. No one has seen this man.
Yep.
But nothing else as you do your walk?
No.
She would like try and make conversation the whole time, just like asking like different things about you, and if you refuse to talk, just kind of like talking herself.
So she's gonna be listening to herself as we go.
A little bit. She'll be like peppering you with questions like, "Ooh, where did you get that cool staff on your back?" Does T not answer? Alright, fair enough. I really like your wrappings. Are you like some monkey kind of person then, or not like monkey, but like a monk? I'm gonna take that as a yes. So like that is what she's doing this entire walk here. She does not seem to be put off by your bullshit. So you eventually reach what she announces. Alright, well, looks like we're at the Sweets. She kind of points to what is admittedly probably a wooden building in slightly better repair than most of the buildings here. It looks a little less ramshackle, a little more designed. It's also quite large. It's maybe 40 feet by 60 feet with kind of like an extended sort of block off of like the back right corner. And it's only 2 floors, but just due to the size of it, it seems like it still manages to hold quite a bit of quite a bit of people in space. And there is like a pole kind of stuck like this that has a short chain and a long chain with a sign hanging down. That at first glance, you're a little confused because while everyone's calling it the Sweets, it appears to be called the Desert Rose. No. Where is the name for this? The Desert Lotus Tavern. But upon closer inspection, as you kind of look away from it and you're like, wait, did I? And you look back up, it appears that someone had a small mistake when they were making the sign and accidentally put a second S into the word desert. So it is the Desert Lotus Tavern. And putting two and two together, you can kind of assume why people sort of ironically call it the Sweets.
All right. Oh, I guess we can go inside.
All right, so you two walk inside. All right, it is not too crowded yet. It appears that maybe of the 40 by 60 space, probably I would say maybe 40 by 40 of that is comprised of the bar area. There's about a 20-foot long, just straight stretch of bar that kind of curves to a corner and kind of has like an opening near one of the walls. And like opposite the opening is the door that kind of leads into the back. They have all manner of like they have like entire barrels of like wine and ale, like 100-gallon barrels just sort of set into the wall with spigots in them, so they can just kind of fastly pour things. But as well as just bottles upon bottles of all different sort of harder alcohols. There's probably close to maybe 25 tables of varying sizes and all the chairs kind of littered around the rest of the room, as well as maybe 20 like tall chairs kind of lined up around the bar and around to the corner. Only like maybe 10 or 12 people in here at this time. It is at this point starting to get kind of close to noon. But certainly not a popular time to be at the bar, unless you are bunking there. And it appears that on the as you walk in towards, you can kind of see like the one end of the bar is sort of like the edge of the building. The other end kind of has a hallway with doors on either side, kind of as first floor rooms, and then sort of set almost right near where the entrance to go behind the bar is. There's stairs leading up to the second floor.
Interesting. I make a lap of the tables, asking everyone, have you seen this man?
No one has seen this man, and everyone is a little peeved that you're disturbing their breakfast.
Don't give a fuck.
So she kind of walks up to the current person standing behind the bar. It is a Ganassi man, actually a fire Ganassi, bright red skin, kind of like hair sort of just like short on the sides, a little bit longer on top, kind of like spiked up, like orangish, like yellow, almost kind of like patterned like flames. Also with like a little bit of a reddish orange soldar, like going up either forearm here and here. As he sort of like looks to you as you're walking around and just nods, and then as Gab approaches, "Hey Gab, what you want?"
Before she can speak, have you seen this man?
Do you still have it up? Like you're just holding it there? I haven't seen him in a while.
How long is a while?
Years and years.
Never mind.
He used to run around these parts, didn't he?
Yeah, we both did.
Oh, you were that little Ganassi he was always running around with.
Yes.
You got slightly less little.
Yes.
He kind of turns his attention back to Gab. And Gab is like, do you have any idea where Sandra is? He's like, you looking to put the newbie up for a little bit? He kind of nods, and he's like, well, you might be in luck with that one. She currently has her hands full with something out back, so well, give it a shot, I guess. And so she kind of looks towards you, kind of like nods towards the area where you go behind the bar too. Do you follow?
Yeah.
All right, so you two go behind the bar, through that door, kind of into like the kitchen area. Through the kitchen, she says hi to all of the cooks by name.
I asked them all, have you seen this man?
None of them have, except for one, the head chef, who is kind of a grizzled, older-looking half-orc fellow. Gives you the same story that the bartender up front gave you. Of I know who that is, but I have not seen him in any number of years.
Damn.
But he was like, yeah, he used to come in here. I used to like cook stuff for him, give him a little bit extra, but I haven't seen him in a while.
Thanks anyway.
All right, so you two go out the door at the back of the kitchen into like the area behind the bar. It's kind of like patchy, a little bit slightly more grass back here and a couple of trees. But it's like patchy, like grass and dirt. How kind of like a field that's like overused or just not watered well enough looks. And you see a approximately your height, a Ferox woman, with kind of wavy, kind of a little bit like if you were to like crunch your hair, kind of. So it's like not completely straight, but not completely curly. Bright red hair, slightly like tanned skin, and then two elk horns, antlers, kind of like coming up and kind of like spreading off, kind of giving her an extra probably like 8 inches of height as they go, not only straight up but also like a couple branches like out like this. And she's just wearing like trousers, nicer-ish boots than you see on the average person here, as well as just like a nice like greenish kind of tunic. As she just sort of seems to be looking kind of angrily at a like a cellar door that is sort of built into the side of the extra space that was sort of built off the back, kind of.
Have you seen this man?
Just looks towards you.
Recently.
Sorry, ma'am. Can't help you. I haven't seen Gruff around here in a while. Used to come in here all the time, though.
Yes, we did.
Oh, so you were the sweet little thing that got him then.
I suppose.
At this, you can see Gab getting visibly excited about the question she's going to ask you about your love life later.
T just like mumbles under her breath in Orcish, most of it curses.
No, afraid I haven't seen him around here anytime recently, sweetie. Last time I heard, he checked out with you, didn't he?
We did, and he's been missing for almost 6 years. Not looking good.
Not to put a damper on your shit, but that really doesn't bode well. Gruff wasn't the type to blow anybody off, and certainly wasn't the type to go down without a fight, so...
I'm aware.
Well, anyway, what else can I do for you? Or did you come back here just to show me a picture?
I'll just look to the girl.
Gab was like, so she's gonna be in town for a little bit, and we were hoping that maybe she could get a couple free drinks and a free room for a little bit if we did something for you. And with that, like, you see her just smile. It's like, well, you are in luck, because let me tell you, I have a bit of a interesting job for you then. Not too tough, you won't have to travel too far, it's just weird and something that I would like to get taken care of.
I'm listening.
So, this is the cellar. Points to the door. We keep spare foods down there, when it's spare meats when they've been salted. We also keep a whole lot of booze down there, which makes it a pretty important place. But lately, some food's been going missing, and someone chewed through one of my 100-gallon barrels of wine and spilt all of it. She's like, knuckles are literally white. She's clenching her fist as she says that. And no one really wants to go down there at this point because there are some very, very strange noises coming from that cellar.
Alright, I got it.
So, yeah, hopefully it's not anything too scary or dangerous, but if you could make the scary noises stop. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a woman who cares about the means. More of an ends gal, if you understand me.
Got it.
All right. Well, that sounds good. How about if you do this for me? And since you're a friend of Gab, and Gab is such a wonderful patron of this establishment, free drinks, free food, free basic room, 2 weeks.
Deal.
All right. Well, don't know if you want to head down there now, or got anything else to do first, or...
No, we can go now.
All right. She Sorry, I'm chewing ice. But you're also taking notes, that's fine. Oh, God. Gotta love it when your players take notes. Makes the DM so happy inside. So she removes a ring of keys from her belt, kind of fumbles through a couple of them, undoes the lock, and turned around. All right, well, I would say to be careful since it's just going to be the two of you. You hear the door swing open, or not. So, Gab, did you bring more people here? And Gab is just like, no, I did. Oh, hi, Autumn. And so you I don't know if you turn around to look at these two people who are walking towards you now.
I'll glance.
These are two of the people who were sitting in the bar when you first arrived. It is she doesn't look to be full Eladrin, maybe like half so, but definitely a full elf. So I need to bring up all of their sheets and stuff real quick. She's a little bit shorter than you, but not as short as Gab. With like alabaster white skin, like swirling sort of amber colored eyes, and hair that kind of starts out silver till about here and goes to like approximately like here on her, and it's like silver, and then as soon as it hits here, it just slowly descends into like a various hue of like oranges and golds and reds and yellows and like a couple browns as it sort of like just swirls around. She is carrying she's wearing like some nice clothes. She has like brown pants on, brown boots, and like a once again like a very like fall themed colored tunic that's sort of like oranges and reds and stuff. You also notice she seems to be wearing like a kind of like crown of leaves like woven together, which doesn't seem like it should be possible, but she is. You can like I would say you've been around the city long enough to notice like an Eladrin when you see one, even if she's not like full. She definitely seems like she has some of like that kind of like fey elf blood in her. But the only other noticeable thing is she has a violin with a bow just on a strap on her back, where she just sort of like kind of absentmindedly waves to Gab. The person next to her is a much taller than you. I would say you said you're 5'8"?
Yes.
About half a foot taller than you are. Helm on, so you can't see the face, just a full suit of plate mail walking next to her. It is well worn, certainly not shiny by any stretch of the imaginations, and the like the insignias that would be on it have been, whether with time or purposefully, sort of faded off of the armor. But even as well worn as it is looks like pretty quality stuff. It does not look like a back alley set of armor. This seems like it was well made, probably for a very specific person with how well it seems to fit. This figure looks quite strong. Seems to be carrying it quite well.
But I'm guessing I can't see their skin at all or anything.
Nope.
Can I tell if they're like male or female?
Chest looks kind of flat. And like there's no like I mean, it's plate mail. It's not like it's like not like it's going to be like plate mail versus plate bikini. It is seems like it's designed very what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Convex. Or
yes.
concave, I guess.
Yeah, it's designed for like to do a purpose, and it's designed to do that purpose well. It's not designed to like look flashy or anything, but the person doesn't have like overly wide hips or like an overly big butt or like there's no noticeable bust. So I would say no. It's kind of just like an ambiguous figure in a suit of armor.
All right.
Looking up. So after she waves to Gab, Gab will be like, oh, sorry. This is Autumn. We sometimes hang out when she's here because I come here a lot because I live with my sister and she, was at work and stuff. So I don't want to, always sit at home by myself and study, even though I should probably sit at home and study a little bit more than I do normally. But hey, that's fine. But yeah, what were you guys up to? And she kind of like gestures to them, and the Eldrin just sort of points to the door and then looks at you two, and then points between the two of you. And she goes, yeah, we were going down there, right?
Yes.
Gab looks to you. Did you want to come with? The elf just nods, and she's like, all right, well, I guess this will be easier then.
I suppose.
All right. And so with that, Sandra's just like, well, I mean, I guess I feel a little bit better with him going down, just pointing to the hulking figure in armor. She's like, haven't seen it. Like as they kind of turn around to discuss maybe something themselves, you assume. She kind of like turns towards you, and Gab just goes, Gab, have you seen the big one around before? Gab just like, that with you?
No.
Oh. All right, well, if it's with Autumn, it's probably fine, but hey.
Don't turn my back to it, got it.
Yeah. That said, if it is friendly, probably a pretty big help.
I suppose.
All right, well, if you all have everything you need, the large figure walks over to where some equipment seems to be setting against the back door there. They might have left it there before they came in. Grabs a fairly large shield, probably about 20 inches wide at its widest, and like a kite shape, kind of like shaped like that, if you can imagine. Probably about 3 feet tall, solid metal. Just straps it to their one arm. Picks up a sword that, for most other people, is probably a two-handed greatsword, but is just holding it with one hand. It's 4.5, 5 feet long. About the blade runs about this thick before kind of like curving off, or not curving off, but like slanting off. Like a foot-long handle, like a pretty detailed crossguard, kind of like nicely decorated. It seems like the weapons and armor are like of a quality that you do not see in Dust Town. It would be more appropriate probably in the Noble District than it would be here, but still, they seem to be carrying a sword that you don't know that like either of your other two companions could hold with two hands, and they're carrying it with one.
All right.
They just sort of, they both stroll up to you. The elf just looks at you. If you look over to the knight is just, and that's it. Neither of them say anything.
I won't say anything.
Gavin just sort of like looks.
Let's go, shall we?
All right, guess we're going.
I'll turn to Sandra before we go down. Leave the door open.
Kind of afraid something might escape. Can I shut it and not lock it?
I suppose.
All right, will do. Have fun. Oh, and try not to get any blood on the food. Shuts the door.
All right. I say the big one goes first.
Well, there's a first issue. Can't see shit.
Fuck. Don't I glow?
Not that much, baby.
Well, I have a...
Do you have an adventurer's kit?
Explorer's kit.
Explorer's kit. You have torches.
Yeah, I guess I'll take one out.
Alright. The torch lights, you can kind of see your whole party. It seems that the knight in front was attempting to do that as well. Eventually gets one lit of their own and sort of kind of puts it up. It seems like they have taken the lead and are going first. Seems to be maybe like a 25-foot descent down into wherever you're going. So you just walk on down the stairs.
I make sure Gab is behind me, the Eldrin behind her, and I'm directly behind the big one.
Alright, there's the marching order. So as you reach the bottom of the stairs, there is a little bit of, I would say, dim light once you get down there, pouring into the room. It seems like it's pouring in from kind of grates in the ceiling that are part of the maybe the structure that is like standing above where the cellar is. So there's like enough light that you have like dim light at least. And being that this cellar is probably only, I would say maybe like a 40-foot by 40-foot cellar, you can pretty much see the whole cellar, despite the fact that, like, you know, you can't see all of the fine details, but you can see enough at least. There are also like empty sconces on the wall. The knight kind of leans over and sticks their torch on the wall, kind of supplying a little bit more light to that corner. Is there anything you would like to do as the knight at least kind of takes a couple cautionary steps forward, looking around, seeing if they can spot everything?
See any like entrances or doors or like holes in the wall or anything?
So far, the one you came up. But if you'd like to search the whole room, you can make an investigation check.
I guess.
Come on, I know you're good at them.
That's not bad. That's 17. Rolled an 18.
God, this ice keeps going through this lid into my mouth. At least I'm not using a straw, saving the planet. Alright, so with a 17, kind of take a peek around. You do notice like a couple of seems like bite marks or claw marks in some of like the boxes and some of the sacks. One of the sacks is even like split open, and you can kind of see like a couple like half-eaten pieces of like dried fruit sort of just like laying on the ground. It looks like something's been like nibbling on them.
Would I be able to identify what kind of animal it would be at all?
Make a nature check.
Not animal handling?
No. That was a
3.
A 3. Maybe a really small dragon. All right. So, but the other thing you find is at the far left-hand corner of the room, and like the bottom foot of the wall, maybe 3 feet wide, is sort of like, it seems to be the room is like slanted towards that corner, and there seems to be like a grate that kind of runs to the sewers. From there, if it should rain too much and it kind of gets water down here, it kind of seems like it's a natural way for it to run out into somewhere.
Is there like a barrier there, or is it just open?
It's like bars.
Is it big enough for something to get in through?
Well, the bars run from like the wall straight into the ground. There's probably 2 inches of space between every bar. The bars are about 1 inch thick.
Do any of them move if I like yank on them?
No.
Is there any like nearby like switch or mechanism to like drop them or something?
Make an investigation check.
18.
18? Nothing that you can find, unfortunately.
Well, I have fucking nothing. Have you lot found anything?
I will say, though, you get excited for a quick second because there does appear to be a, like, as you kind of, like, are looking at it here on the wall, because it's in the corner on the wall, like directly to the right of it, you notice there's like a patch. There's kind of like a patch of stones that run vertical instead of horizontal, because this entire place seems to be like horizontal, just sort of like brownish yellow bricks that are sort of lined. There's a group of them that run vertical instead of horizontal, and you're like, that's curious. And then right in the middle is one that's discolored, and you're like, and then as you go to press it, nothing happens. It's just a brick.
Can I rip it out of the wall?
No. Maybe you don't know if that was just an accident or if someone did that on purpose just to like fuck with people that came down here and thought it would do something special, but it doesn't appear to do anything despite being really, really like weird. Make a perception check. Is that a natural 20 or a natural 1?
1.
All right.
First one, getting it out of the way.
Oh boy, I think yeah, that is your first one, because I haven't even rolled one yet, so. Oh boy, first one of the campaign. Feel good?
Something like that.
So, are you continuing to look around, or?
I just turned to the group.
It's sort of organized in like aisles. A couple of the group members are just like walking up the aisles. The tall knight figure is just sort of like kind of standing on the side that you are, because you're like in the end aisle, and it's just sort of just like kind of like peering around, kind of just like trying to see if they can see anything.
I'll turn in the general area of the group and say, well, I found fucking nothing. How about you guys?
The knight turns to you and just the elf just looks over, and then you hear, nope.
All right. Is there anything else like along like the outer wall or anything? Like I'll just like put my hand on the wall and like follow it around the room.
Nothing really. It's just kind of like a flat wall. Though as you are walking, make one more perception check for me. Hopefully better than the last one.
So natural 18. $21.
As you go to take your next step, you kind of notice where you're going to step. There appears to be like a weird like wire like object on the ground that appears to be, it's dim light, so you can't really make out the color, but it appears to be about like this thick and just sort of like kind of laying across the ground and eventually tapering to an end.
Does it look like a trap?
Not really. It just sort of looks like it's laying on the ground there.
So it's not like in the air, it's just like laying on the ground?
It's laying on the ground.
I'll follow, like, so tapers off, like, end? What about the other end?
The other end just goes into like where like a clutter of like boxes and bags.
One of you come pull this.
The one nearest to you is Gab, and she like comes over and she just like looks at it and goes, "What is it?"
I don't know. Don't you want to find out?
Can you pull it?
No, my back.
I guess. She reaches down, wraps a hand around it, and as soon as she touches it, it just into the bag, and then eventually you see like some rustling in the center of it, and then some rustling towards the other side, and then coming out of the clutter, because it was about like maybe a 2 foot tall, couple feet wide pile of clutter, is a rat of a rather unusual size, you could even say.
An ROUS.
An ROUS, indeed. I had to throw it in while I could before they were completely overpowered by your party. I'm glad I got to use them in this. Ugh, God, stereotypical quest lines. But yeah, this rat appears on the other side of this bag and is sort of like looks back at you. You can see like the angry red glow in its eyes as you just hear
Jesus Christ.
From Gab as she just like shrieks and backs up into you and is just like tapping your chest repeatedly as she's like backing against the wall. Does not appear that she likes rats.
All right, well.
You also hear a growl from the rat, before you hear some skittering from one of the corners where you came in, as well as one of the corners near the knight. And yeah, it appears to be. You can kind of, well, the boxes aren't stacked very high. They're only about 4 feet tall, and the rats are not huge, but like big enough that like you can kind of see one here, as well as the one in front of you with the knights kind of positioned on one side there, and Autumn kind of positioned in between these two.
Time to get to work, and I'll just grab my staff out and go for
Roll for initiative is what you'll do.
Alright, that was almost a 1. It's a 19.
Oh dear. It's what?
It's a 19.
Nice.
Plus 5. So 24. So I don't suppose any of these rats are wearing metal.
No, that's certainly a pretty good guess.
Damn.
Rats might not get a turn.
Woof. So, plot twist. If T ever dies, can I be a wolf ferox? And the only word that I know how to say is wolf.
I'll think about that. I will think about that. All right. So with that, you are first, T. What would you like to do?
I'm just going to lay into it. I'll use both hands to go at it with my staff.
Whack it with that staff.
That's another natural 1, and this one's going back in the chest.
That is a swing and a miss. Perhaps all of your time in the monastery kind of taking away some of your what used to be natural ability to fight in tight quarter spaces. You go to swing your staff, you swing it back, and as you go to swing it forward, you realize that you kind of stuck it right into a sack that was sitting on like top of one of the piles. And as you go to swing, you just, it's sort of heavier than normal, and you just sort of like throw it through the air, and there are dried apples that just fly everywhere, all over this room now.
Great.
Anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
Well, can I bonus action unarmed strike then?
Is that one of the things you can do as a monk?
Yes.
Then yes.
Alright, let's try the next dice. That's better. So that will be an unnatural 20 to hit.
That'll hit. Roll me, what is it, a d4?
Plus 5. But I have to get to my d4, which are under all my dice. To not preemptively take it out. Because I'm an idiot. There we go. That is a 4, so that'll be 9 total.
Alright, that first rat is dead.
Nice.
Right,
Punched
so,
it to death.
yeah, so after doing that, you're kind of at this point just like sort of stick your staff in a box and ducking under it as the rat kind of like lunges for you. Just a well-strike punch, just kind of straight, a little bit lower than in between the eyes, kind of down to where like the nose is, and you can just hear bones break and feel bones break under your fist. You just sort of punch it straight to the ground. It just bounces once, twice, smaller, and then is still. Seems like you just maybe snapped its neck by punching it in the face, which is fairly impressive.
I'll just ready myself towards the next one.
Got you. Up next is going to be Gab. You hear from behind you after the rat dies. You just hear, "Thank you." But she is going to so she has a pouch on her side, and she kind of reaches into it and pulls out an orb about this big. She kind of slightly tosses it and kind of it sort of levitates in between her two hands. A number of contraptions kind of shoot out from it and sort of like spin around it, almost like a combination between like a gyrosphere and like a kind of like a mini like terrarium that's well, not terrarium, but like something that's like orbiting it. And you can also see like imprinted in the on the front of it that is facing you, kind of that's the only like in the center, the only part that's not moving, is a picture of a tarot card. And so you, once again, having grown up in Baldur's Gate, would recognize this long enough to. You might have seen them once or twice, but this is an arcane focus for a mage who follows the arcane zodiac. Definitely not the most common type of mage, and also just to have this in Dusttown, you would probably also know that these things are not supposed to leave the Mage Academy ever, especially if you are an individual who doesn't attend the Mage Academy. But you can do with that information what you want. That is just the background stuff that you would know having grown up in the city. But she is going to just sort of look to you. Is there more of them?
Yes.
Can you guys take care of them? And she is going to throw, like, sort of pull one of like the little things float, like one of the little globules of light kind of like floating around her little focus, and sort of just throw it up into the air as it kind of splits into four, and then in equal parts across the room they all just, and now there is like bright light shining across pretty much the whole room at this point, as there are just 4 orbs of light hanging in the air, probably 15 feet up, just shining down on everything. And that will end her turn, having given everyone the ability to see now. All right, next up is Autumn. Oh, let me mark off that you killed this one rat. She is going to turn to one that's kind of in the center aisle, near where the door you came in. She kind of takes 2 steps out of her aisle, looks over and sees it, just sort of kind of like gives a nod, reaches on her back to the violin, then sort of slides her hand past that to the bow, and pulls the bow off of her back, kind of like twirls it in her hand twice before like throwing it out, like kind of like snapping it. As you see, it's still a bow, but there seem to be like the wooden part that kind of extends out through the whole thing, since it has like the strings that are here and the wooden part here. Sliding out from the wooden part of it about 18 inches is the it looks like the top 18 inches of like a rapier tip.
Interesting.
As she just charges up towards this rat, attempts to just gore it and spear it with the tip of her makeshift rapier. Seems like it would make a very good hidden weapon as well.
Yes. And it is a violin bow, correct?
It also is a violin bow, okay. Yes. It's still, since it slides out of the wooden part, it appears that the wooden part might be hollow to a certain extent, since a violin bow is clearly not as long as a rapier. It's only about this big. With the other point, it puts it about 3 feet long. And it still has like the strings that are perfectly attached underneath, so it looks like it definitely also probably plays the violin as well.
Interesting.
Not that you've ever played the violin, but you can assume. Yeah. All right, she tries to hit it. Ooh, that is definitely going to hit. She will do not quite enough damage to kill it. But she sort of like, as it kind of like goes to skirt back from her strike, she kind of catches it right in the shoulder before kind of like pulling up at an angle. Blood kind of splatters on the ground as the rat lands back. It's kind of like favoring its left side now. It's kind of like tries a couple times to like step on its right front paw and just sort of like looks like it's going to fall into the ground if it puts any more weight on that. And then she's going to turn back towards you and go and like look at the dead rat, look at you and go, and smile at you, and you now have 1 use of Bardic Inspiration.
Okay.
That is a d6 that you can use for attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. Which moves us on to the rat's turn. The rat that just got stabbed in the shoulder is obviously going to take a quick bite at Autumn. That's a natural one, so that's gonna miss. All right, we'll use a different dice now. So it being kind of weak, it definitely doesn't have the mobility that it once did. It kind of like snaps at her, but she just kind of like takes a quick step back, still like blade out pointing at it, it seems. If nothing else, she seems to be comfortable with this odd configuration of a weapon. The other one is going to attempt to bite at the knight since it is over there in their corner. That might actually hit. It does. That's funny. So the other rat kind of like maybe was unnoticed at first, kind of latches at like the ankles of the knight, hoping to find like some purchase in maybe that spot is a little bit less armored. And they're correct. They're able to kind of like sink their Rex was also standing in the center aisle, so you're able to see as the rat kind of like sinks its teeth into one of the knight's ankles as they are standing there, and that'll be 3 whole points of damage. And as you can see, like maybe some like blood kind of like splatter, not a whole lot, but a little bit as it bites in. Some blood starting to like leak onto like the dull silvery grays of the armor. But now it is the knight's turn. And then I'm just going to look down at this rat, as this rat is like still holding on for dear life, but has like stopped moving and is kind of. Rats aren't very intelligent creatures, but sort of just like contemplating, like,
It did.
Not quite. That was the roll to hit, and it did. I just want to see if the damage is going to be enough to kill it, and if so, then I can describe it accordingly. Yep, that'll do it. Up until this point, the knight had shield at their side, kind of sword, sort of like not tucked in anywhere, but not like holding it out like this, kind of like holding it this way, kind of angled towards the ground so that they could walk around easier. But now, having this rat attached to their ankle, they just kind of like kick forward and sort of shake it off as it kind of like tumbles like a foot in front of them, before just not even bothering to handle the sword like an actual blade. Just like sort of lift up with the blade. Make a perception check. Mid-battle perception checks.
14.
Lift up the blade. You can kind of see some bluish, like some light, very like light white, silvery blue magics kind of like coalescing around the blade as they do this. Sorry, it's hard to keep track of all of these characters. This is the knight, right?
Yes.
I'm not describing. Okay, sorry. I keep, for whatever reason, I'm like keeps thinking that I'm describing something about Autumn and her violin, and I'm like, no. All right. Sorry, I'm really tired. Anyway, so the knight grabs their sword, kind of lifts it up, the magic lightly falling off of it, and they just slam it down straight through the center of this rat, mercilessly. By the time the blade stops, it's already gotten to the main point of the sword, and it is like punched a hole half the size of this rat's body in the rat, as they just foot on neck, step down so they can lift it up out, and then just set it, like just continues to hold the blade like that, just pointed downward. That rat is pretty dead.
Yeah.
And with that, we move to your turn.
So is it just the injured one left? Or...
Yep, that is it.
Alright, then I guess I'll take a swing at it with my staff.
You gotta approach it first. You're
Oh,
gonna just run up to it, or you're gonna try and do some monkey parkour shit off these boxes.
Is there anything in my way?
You're in like the middle of one of the aisles, so you have to walk forward about like 5 feet and then about 10 feet this way, and that's where the rat is. And there's like a couple of rows of boxes there. But I mean, they're all just wooden boxes about 4 feet high.
So I could jump over the box and be right there, or I could go around.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll fucking jump over the box.
Ooh.
Acrobatics.
Make an acrobatics check just so I can see how cool it is.
What is a 16? 23.
So staff in your left hand, with your right hand, you just on box, vault your way up. Still from your crouching position, just explode up. Only your right foot touches the next row of boxes. Only your left foot touches the final row of boxes as you just spring up, like ready to come down, just like full on impale with the staff. It looks very impressive as you do this.
Nice.
Now roll for me to hit and don't ruin it.
It's almost a 20, but it went sideways to 14, which isn't terrible. That is...
I can already tell you what hits.
21.
These are rats.
Right. So... 12 damage.
12 damage? Oh, that's right. It's your staff, not an unarmed strike. For whatever reason,
Yes.
I was like, how do you do 12 damage with an unarmed strike? Yeah, so you just, like, vault up, explode out, right foot, left foot, slam down straight through the body of the rat, just impaling it. It kind of gives, like, a right as you impale it, kind of dying before you even, like, before it can even, like, finish, like, screeching. With that, you just pull it out, and it is now lying dead on the floor as we leave initiative with all 3 rats dead.
Alright. Is there... So from the pile that the first one came from, is there any, like, sign of, like, a hole in the wall or anything like that?
No, just, if you go... Well, first, before anything else, after that display, you hear, ooh, from Gab, and then the elf just, like, turns to you and is just like, polite claps.
He just sort of nods awkwardly and then walks off to study the wall.
Yeah, the pile. You're studying, like, the clutter that the first rat came from, right? That the tail was in?
Yes.
You find... Make an investigation check.
I'm so great at that. That'll be a 5.
That'll be some rat droppings and some chewed food.
Alright. But it doesn't seem like there's any other mice in here currently.
If there are, they ignored the scuffle that happened. That said, you can be reasonably sure that since the other 2 came out when they heard the first one growling, that any other ones would have come out. You hear if you like look up, you see the knight kind of standing pretty close to the grate. If you approach, they are kind of like with their foot sort of attempting to see if the rat will fit through the grate, despite the fact that the rat's more than 2 inches wide. The rats are probably at their widest, like, probably like 3 or 4 inches wide. But just because of, like, they kind of have the same effect as cats, whereas, like, cats can just sort of, like, slinky their body through anything they want, and it doesn't make any sense as far as physics go, but they do it because they're cats. The body seems to contort enough that, like, they are able to get, like, the head through, and then, like, the arms and torso through, and then finally the rear legs through, and, like, as soon as it gets to the point where the rear legs are through, the tail just kind of, like, follows as it just falls off into the sewer, and they just kind of look at it and go.
Alright, I'm good accepting that explanation. Does Baldur's Gate collect, like, trophies of kills or anything like that?
You would, The knight would shrug. If you turned back to the other 2, Autumn would be shaking her head, and, how would she word this? Gab would just be, if they did, Probably not like these, and definitely not from us. Sorry.
No, I guess we'll just take the whole bodies up then to show Sandra.
I guess so.
Grab
It's
one
still
by the tail.
it's still kind of weird that like I mean, I get that like maybe people are scared of rats, but I mean, it didn't seem like they were being that loud. People heard weird sounds from down here and everything, but I guess that's what it was. An entire bar full of employees scared of some rats, though. It's a little weird.
I mean,
Oh well.
I don't see any other entrances or exits, do you?
No. Alright, so I guess we'll grab the bodies then.
Okay, let's do another sweep of the room. I'll do one final check of the room and like move the piles and everything to make sure there's no holes in the walls or anything. Is it investigation again?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try a different dice, see if this one rolls any better. It's not much better. That will be a 14.
14? Nothing really. Nothing out of the ordinary for sure. It seems like that was that is definitely the only two ways in and out of this space, and I mean, as far as the grates go, it's certainly too small for anything of like a human nature to fit through. Even like a smaller race like a gnome or a dwarf, like they're not getting through that.
I'm gonna go up to the grates, grab something in the room that like I think would make noise, and go in between the two bars and just like clatter it together and be like, "Hello, anyone down there?" And just like yell into the grate.
All right.
Oh.
The elf is looking at you kind of like a little bit wide-eyed, and Gab is like got like a slightly fake smile on. As the knight is just sort of kind of like standing maybe 3 feet behind you, and then like as you do that, kind of like walks up also to listen as they sort of like lean down. As you stop, the echoes continue, then they fade, and then they're gone, and you hear nothing from down there. And then a low sort of primal growling behind you. You turned, and there behind you was nothing. Nothing at all.
Anyone have any fucking clue what that was?
No one says anything, but the knight beside you is just like kind of just like scans the room, hand kind of going to like the hilt of their sword. Just sort of look around. A couple seconds go by, and you hear again.
I'm gonna grab my staff and just like blindly swing in the openness.
You don't hit anything, but the next growl does come from the near the doorway.
Like the door we came from? Fuck it, I'll head that way.
The knight heads with you. The other two kind of like gather up close to you as you walk. You get to about the dead center of the room before you hear the sound again, but louder now. It's just... And then in front of you is just kind of spiraling from just the air. It's like a thin sheet of just black. It starts out about this big and swirls to be a foot tall, 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall, and eventually 4 orbs shoot out of it, each one hitting one of the dancing spheres of light. All of them go out. It is back to dim light down here, aside from the 2 areas that are lit by your torches. And kind of you hear the same sound again, louder also behind you. As you turn to look, there is the same portal there as well now. At this point, Gab once again has her focus out You can see re-extending the blade of her bow is Autumn, and the knight now kind of slides the sword out of its holder that is on their hip, and is sort of holding that, except this time kind of like gives it like a quick toss so that they can catch it and hold it in a grip that is more sword-like, obviously. It's kind of like looking, kind of like has their shield on, sort of like positioning it behind them, but has the sword kind of facing forward so they can see both at the same time. What are you doing?
I'll ready my staff, but try and stay like, so like if they're here, like actually like sideways, so I can like see both.
So, coming out. Coming out of both portals are two, well, not entirely large creatures, certainly unpleasant creatures. To look at, I mean. Foul smelling. The smell kind of hits you as you see the first bits of their body extend out before anything else. They are about 3.5, 4 feet tall. Hooked like claws on their feet, hooked claws at the end of their fingers. The body sort of is like representative of like a small gorilla almost, with the head shape, the eyes and nose, the mouth, and the ears being almost pig-like in nature. Make an Arcana or a religion check, your call.
What? It don't fucking matter.
What'd you roll? That's
2.
2. Looks like some kind of demon, but of a specific type. You certainly don't have the most experience with demons. But one steps out of each portal, the smell, like the rank smell from them just kind of invading your nostrils, as they're sort of just growling and snarling at your party as each portal just kind of like continues like shimmering behind them.
Well, this is interesting. I guess we should just fucking get to it.
Yeah, I guess this was what was making the noise, huh?
Yeah, I'll take that one, and I'll point to the knight. You can take that one.
Knight just looks at you and just... Roll initiative.
23.
Alright, that has our initiative order. T, you are up first. What would you like to do?
Just swing at it with my staff.
Go for it.
21.
That'll hit.
$11 damage, slashing.
Alright.
And then bonus action, unarmed strike. That's not great. 14.
That'll hit.
Nice. Whatever. That would be 2 plus, so 7 damage.
Alright, it is still standing, albeit barely. You kind of slice right across its chest, kind of blood sputtering out of it, and throw a quick kick up into the jaw. It kind of like stumbles back, still like growling, but it doesn't seem like these are the hardiest of creatures necessarily, as it kind of looks at you and growls. Up next are the creature's turn. The one furthest away from you is going to run up towards, I guess Gab was in the back, run up towards Gab and use its multi-attack at her. I'll have to print out all of these character sheets at some point. Oh, dear. It will miss with the first attack. It goes to bite. And I was able to at least kind of like step out of the way. Not easy to do necessarily given the close quarters, but is able to find enough purchase either way. The second attack is with its claw. That one will hit, dealing 3 points of slashing damage. Second one kind of like comes across, kind of like catches her at like the hip, sort of tears through the cloak that she's wearing. You can kind of see like a little bit of blood, kind of like a couple of droplets splatter to the ground, and a little bit of it's kind of like stain her tunic. She like takes like another jump back, and if not necessarily hurt, just like a little bit like, you know, the quick shock of pain as she is just like jumps back and kind of shrieks a little. The other one near you is going to kind of glare at you, think about what it wants to do, lean its head back, and just come forward, a noxious gas coming out of its mouth, kind of spreading around you. And I guess the only other one close enough to it would be the knight. So spreading around both of you, and I will need both of you to make a Constitution saving throw, as you are enveloped in this noxious gas.
Alright. Constitution? 19.
Alright, both of you pass, so it is rank and foul beyond any normal, like, smell that is any kind of natural that you have encountered, but you're able to kind of, like, hold your breath a little bit, your monk training kind of coming in to help as you are sort of, like, disciplinedly control your body to do what you need it to do, and you're able to block it out for the moment. Alright, so that ends their turn. With that, we're going to move to the knight. The knight is going to charge the one that you haven't charged yet, and we'll take a swing at that. So 6, that'll hit with the great sword, doing some damage. Those are ones. Every single one of them. Not dealing the most damage, unfortunately. It seems as though their large weapon might not be the best suited for this kind of environment, as it is pretty tight quarters, but is still able to kind of like charge forward and sort of overhead swing, kind of like catching it, like starting at the shoulder, kind of bringing it down to the hip about an inch deep. Carving it slightly, it's bleeding and hurt, but certainly not necessarily on death's door quite yet. Alright, so that ends their turn. Next we'll bring up Autumn. Autumn is going to charge the one that you already hurt, taking a stab forward with her bow that is also a sword. And just barely missing. Oh, that's right, she also has to make a... Okay, she succeeds on that. So she rushes into where the noxious fumes are, is able to kind of like keep her head down enough to like not be bothered by it, but not paying the most, like devoting her attention to that means that as she like leans into the lunge, it's sort of like she tries to like bring it down through it, and it's able to just kind of like take a quick step back as it kind of goes into the ground, and she kind of like brings it back up to a more defensive stance, but not finding the hit there. Next up is going to be Gab. She kind of sees that you might be in trouble, so she's probably going to go after the one that you have already hurt. Not rushing forward at all, but kind of from her focus that is sort of doing its orbit thing in her, is going to like reach in, and from the light materializes like a single card. You would recognize on the back of it is the same pattern as the pattern of tarot card that is on the focus itself, and just in a quick motion, just whip it straight at the demon that is in front of you. Hopefully she can do a little better. Oh, she does do better. That is absolutely going to hit, and she will deal 5 points of 3 is bludgeoning. 5 points of bludgeoning damage to the creature as it just sort of kind of strikes it right in the chest, and as it does, it sort of shatters and dematerializes. But as far as like the wound that's left in its place, it looked like somebody just took a club and just clubbed this thing straight in the chest. It kind of concaves in a bit and sort of kind of gives its last gargly breath just before it just falls back down, not moving, and then begins to just like sort of black fumes sort of start to like rise off of it as it is laying there dead. And that is the end of her turn, which brings us back to the top of the second round of combat. T, what are you doing?
I guess I'll just go after the other one. So I'll dash over to that and same thing, try with my staff first.
Go ahead and swing.
Nice. It's a natural 19, so I'm going to guess that hits.
It certainly does.
And that will be this one. 10 damage.
Alright, how do you want to do this?
Just decapitate it.
Alright, bring your staff, the blade of it, kind of straight across, cutting at its very, very thick neck. Kind of pushes your blade to its length limits, rather, as it sort of carves right across. As it flops back, its head just coming off. For a second, you can see some tenue keeping the very back of it on before it tears, and it just topples over, the head one direction, the body another direction, leaves there dead. It too starts smoking in some black fumes. It also lies there, now dead. As you look over to the first one, it begins to completely dissolve into these black fumes before they rise up, kind of like surrounding the portal that it came through. Before a tiny bead of like white light kind of appears in the center of the portal, and it grows and grows until it just, like a fire, just burns the whole portal away and closes. Happens with the second one as well. It closes, and as soon as it does, the smell vanishes. There's no trace of the demons, and it just feels like an aura of slightly more peacefulness down here now. Something that is like indescribable, but noticeable for everyone internally, at least.
Well, I say we get the fuck out of here.
That's probably a good idea. I guess that was what the issue was.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes.
I wonder what were demons doing here, though? They have to be summoned from the abyss.
Maybe Sandra has some enemies.
The Autumn kind of just gives like a silent shrug as you all begin to head up the stairs and back out into the light of day that definitely is a little rough at first if you've ever spent you know, like an hour in a dark place, immediately come back out into bright sunlight. It's like leaving a movie theater.
Yes.
A little bit of that effect, but as you step back out into the sunlight, shielding your eyes, Sandra is not outside currently.
I'll just head towards the inn, I guess.
Right, the four of you head towards the inn. Before they get inside, the knight once again leans their sword up against the side of the building, kind of dismounts their shield, sort of hangs it on the hilt of the sword before walking in.
Is Sandra inside?
Yeah, she's currently in the kitchen.
Kind
of like talking to the one chef who seemed to know Gruff.
I'll get the group to walk that way, and then when we get close, I'll kind of shove Gab in the back forward.
So you shove her forward. She kind of like takes a step or two to kind of catch her balance, then goes, "We did it." And Sandra turns to you. "Oh, well, that's very good to hear. So what was it that was down there that was causing all the issues?" She kind of like turns to Gab, and Gab is like, "Well, it was like, She kind of turns towards you.
Well, there were 3 very large rats, and 2 portals from the abyss opened, and 2 demons came out. We took care of them, but maybe look into that.
Her face is like wide with concern for a second before like returning to a smile. "Oh, I know what you're doing. You're fucking with me, aren't you?"
I wish I was.
Well,
I'll point to Gab's side. Do you think a rat could have fucking done that?
Kind of looks, and she's like, can kind of see like not only the marks, but like there's residue of stuff on her closest one. She's like, "Holy hell. Well, how? I mean, those things don't just open, do they? What kind of demons were they?"
They had lots of hooked limbs, gorilla body, and pig-like faces. And they smelled awful.
What could that even... And then from behind you, you hear, "They're dretches," as you like turn around quick, not familiar with that voice, as the knight appears to have removed their helmet, finally being inside now. So they are, as I said before, a pretty large figure that they cut at about 6'2", 6'3", seem to be obviously well muscled if they can handle all of the equipment that they do. But having now removed their helmet, a prettier face than you might expect. It is judging by the ears, a female half-elf. As she fully removes her helmet, there's kind of like hair that was tucked up inside that kind of now tumbles down to about, I'd say about just below her collarbones, just to like the tips of like the shoulders of her back. Her hair is like pitch black. She has like kind of light violet colored eyes, and lightly tanned skin. Seems like she, has spent her share of time rather, out in the sun. Some of the angular features that you expect of someone who has like elfish descent, but still like a very light touch of like softness to her face. Definitely for someone that handled the weapon the way that she did, certainly a pretty face in an unexpected place. And also having been her first time seeing it, you hear like whispered from behind you from Sandra, just wow. But yeah, with her helmet off now, she says, "They're dretches."
And that is
a type of demon. They're not strong or smart or clever, which boded well for us, but what they lack in that, they make up for in sheer malice. They do what demons do. They want to ruin stuff. Very chaotic. The only issue with that being those portals can easily let one of them, obviously, into the world, which we witnessed, but as they burned away and we saw them do that, they can't be reopened. Nothing else can use them, that is to say. But as they're not the most clever beings, it would mean that someone else probably put them there. So, yeah, you got some problems, says to Sandra.
Yeah, perhaps you have an enemy.
Well, I mean, I can't really think of anyone down here that I would have pissed off, but I mean, being kind of just gestures to the antlers. Me, I can certainly think of a number of people not from around here who my existence sort of pisses off, so I'm in no short supply of enemies, but still, it would hard to believe that someone would resort to those kinds of measures to also seems strange that someone would do that and not like maybe in the bar itself, but I mean, I guess I'll be thankful for the little things.
Well, for now, it's empty. You can go about your things. I mean, there's the 3 rat bodies down there. You might want to get 2.
One got shoved into the sewers.
Right. There might be a smell in a couple of weeks. Just pour a lot of water. It might carry the walkie down.
I'll get someone to clean that up, but thank you for the suggestion.
Also, maybe put more bars horizontal so they can't get in.
That's probably a good idea. I'll look into that one. But right, there's the matter of your payment. So 2 weeks free drinks. Start taking advantage of that as soon as you would like. 2 weeks free food. Start taking advantage of that as soon as you'd like. And I'll just need you to come back in maybe an hour or two when I have your room ready and your key ready for you.
I mean, I'll take a meal and a very tall glass of wine. Right now.
Right, she turns to the cook. You heard the lady. And then she kind of like leans, like walks over a bit and like leans out. Oi! Get her a drink. So comes back in. Alright, is there anything else in the meantime, or are we just about done here?
That's it for me.
Alright, sounds good. Thank you again, all of you, for all of the help. I'll make sure to remember this should I need anything in the future.
Just let me know. I'll probably be here for at least a little while.
Sounds good. She kind of seems like she's getting back to work as Gab starts to kind of walk, kind of looking at everyone else, kind of out of the kitchen area back into like the main part of the bar.
I'll follow so I can sit and eat.
Yeah, so Gab finds a nice like square table for you. Has 4 chairs pulled up at it. She sits at one. She kind of.
I imagine I started to go to another table and then she says something and I just kind of.
Actually, she won't even say something. She'll like go to sit down. She'll be like, oh, and then she like goes to the chair next to hers and like pulls it out for you. And she kind of like is just looking at you expectantly.
And I'll just sit down.
Do you sit there? Right, she sits down there. Sitting to your left is the mystery night lady, and then sitting across from you is Autumn. A chalice of like a goldish color for Autumn, and then kind of like a only lightly stained glass for the mystery night. It has probably about this full of just a dark brown liquid. Everyone takes sips of their drink. The knight kind of like grimaces a bit as she takes hers. Autumn seems unaffected, and Gab takes a sip of hers and just kind of seems like very happy and content.
I'll just take like 3 really big gulps and then normal sips after.
Gab was like, well, that was kind of exciting, wasn't it?
I suppose.
Told you I could get you a free room. And free booze.
Yes. How much do you want for that?
Why do you keep offering to pay me things that I'm not selling you?
People always want something in return.
Well, not me. Actually, there is one thing I want in return, but it's not something you can give me necessarily.
Okay.
I assume you saw the thing I was using down there.
Yes, the Mage Academy focus.
Maybe don't say that out loud again, and maybe just pretend that I don't have that.
Agreed.
Thanks. You're not really supposed to have them if you don't go to the Mage Academy.
I am aware of that fact.
But my, well, no, I can trust you with this, because she already knows, going over to, signaling over to Autumn. She doesn't seem like she tells anybody much of anything, kind of signaling to the knight who has been silent up until, like, 5 or 6 minutes ago. And, I mean, you and me are basically friends now, so I can tell you, and I'm sure you'll be fine with it. So my sister kind of works up in the Noble District as, like, a tutor, because she's, like, really good at, like, fighting and learning things and magic and all that kinds of stuff. And so she sort of borrowed, without asking and without anyone knowing, this for me, because we kind of knew that I had an aptitude for it, so I kind of work at home and study with it and stuff. But I'm not really supposed to have it, necessarily.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's your goal with it?
Well, I want to get as good as I can with it, so that way I can get a whole lot better at, like, magic and stuff. And then after that, I was thinking about enrolling in the Mage Academy, but it's really expensive, and we don't really have a lot of money. So I'll probably just use it to maybe help us have more money, because I know that would really help both me and my sister out. Or just help people. I want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, no one really looks out for people like us, or people like Sandra, and so I want to make sure that, like, no one can just come do stuff they want, like those people from earlier in that alley.
Interesting. It's very lofty ideals that you have.
Yeah, well, gotta shoot high, I guess. My sister always says the same thing. She's more like you are.
Be careful, it's an easy way to get yourself killed.
Well, haven't done it yet.
She'll shake her head and take another rather large gulp of her wine.
Gab shrugs and just goes back to, takes it, like almost chugs her entire mug and just goes, what'd you get?
Wine?
Oh, nice.
You heard me ask for it, did you not?
Well, yeah, but I didn't know if you got, like, a certain type or something.
I don't really care, as long as it gets me drunk.
Fair enough. Oh, rude of me not to introduce you, personally. This is, Autumn Alice. We call her Autumn. Kind of gestures to the, like, half Eladrin elf. She just kind of gives, like, another polite wave to you. She's a bard, but she can't talk.
I've caught that.
Autumn is going to, as you say that, just give you another polite, like, soundless clap. And this is, well, I'm not really sure who this is. I saw Autumn walking around with, like, a tall person in armor, but I haven't seen the face before. The person just kind of, like, looks at Gab, picks up the glass, takes another big swig of whatever is in there, grimaces, kind of looks at the side and sets it down. Rax. Oh, if you're writing it out, as R-A-X. Doesn't offer anything else at the moment.
I'll just nod.
Autumn kind of reaches over and just kind of, like, pats her her arm, and just goes, I guess we're friends now.
Are we?
Well, she's signaling in between herself and Autumn. And Gab is just like, oh, well, I mean, anyone who's a friend of Autumn's good enough for me, so that works. Nice to meet you. She's like, I'm Gab, you know Autumn, and that's T. well, this has been fun, and just like kind of goes back and takes the final like swig of her drink.
Has the food been out yet?
Your food has been brought out. Yeah, you've been
I'm just
eating.
going
It's
to
not
be like laser focused on the food.
it's not great, but it's not bad. Considering like a lot of the meals that you used to scrounge for when you used to be here, better than you would have on like a regular basis. Easily like 2 out of 5 stars, which given that this is like the Dust Town area, like
I'm fine with that.
more simple than anything else. Just simple like meats, simple, potatoes done like 1 or 2 different ways, a couple of like vegetables thrown in here or there, just sort of grilled or stewed or something like that. And simple, but not bad, and certainly edible.
All
right, so finished eating. It's been about half an hour. There's been some other kind of small talk. Is there anything else you would like to talk about before?
Have I asked the other two about the gruff yet? I really have. While we eat, I'll show them the thing and just be like, "Have you seen him?"
Autumn kind of looks over it and Rex kind of looks it over. Yeah.
When? Where?
3, 4 months ago.
Where?
Small village that I passed on the way here. Yeah.
Which one? I've been looking for him for over a year now. Or almost a year.
Further north.
Don't know the name?
No.
Well, if you think of it, let me know.
I don't think I ever caught the name. I didn't stop at the town. I was just passing through. Looked like he was with a group that was also just passing through. Though they were sort of heading. It was along the Sword Coast Road, which is a road that you would know essentially extends from even a little bit past Baldur's Gate, all the way up north along the coast, eventually leading to Waterdeep, eventually leading to Neverwinter, and I think eventually even traveling almost further north, almost to like the mountains, the northern mountain ranges. It's probably halfway in between here and Waterdeep, and I was heading south, and they were heading east into the wilderness, which is an interesting place to head these days, but I was just passing through, so didn't question it.
And you sure it's him? Like, he was smiling like a doofus, probably joking around, light and airy.
Looked like him, not like that.
Was he perhaps like enslaved?
Seemed kind of focused.
Well, if you can think of any details at all, just let me know.
Group he was with looked kind of sketchy, but that's about it.
Thank you. If it leads to him being found, I'll give you some sort of reward.
Don't mention it. Sort of sits back, drinks the rest of her drink, grimaces once more, and sets it down again. At this point, Autumn is gonna kind of like yawn silently. Just kind of like look at everyone and just give like a slight bow before getting up from the table, and Rax will get up with her. Just kind of give a wave goodbye to both of you.
I'll just nod.
Gav is like, oh, I'll see you later. And then Rax is like, it was pleasure. All right, bye. And then just walks away. Almost as low of a charisma as you do. yeah, they both head to one of the rooms on the lower floors, kind of disappear into there. So now it's just you and Gab. Just like, well, it's gonna be like an hour or so before your room is ready. You wanna, go somewhere else before then? Oh, I know where we can go. You can ask people on the way there about your poster thing. I don't know if anyone's gonna have more detailed information than she did. I mean, that was, pretty lucky.
I guess I don't have anything better to do.
All right, let's go. I got a surprise. And she's going to get up and start heading out of the tavern.
I'll make sure to finish my drink and then follow.
You do finish your drink. You're feeling a little bit tipsy, but other than that, you're fine. You can handle your shit. All right. So, especially with all the food you were eating. So you head out into the sun once more. She kind of like leads you through a couple of streets to a part of town where you're noticing like a small section that's kind of like sitting on kind of like a dirt hill almost. Like not like a hill, like a small hill, but kind of just like a piece of the town that's kind of set maybe like 10-15 feet like above the rest on a hill that might be like 700-800 feet long, maybe like 1,000-1,200 feet wide. It seems to be the hilly landscapes of like the southern area here. But as you kind of like come up onto the hill and are kind of like walking around, you're noticing more and more of the people that you're passing are all like smiling at you and kind of like waving at you as you pass them. Most of them are Ganassi.
Have you seen this man? To everyone.
No one has, but like unlike before where like some people are just like no, they're just like they kind of like generally think for a second and kind of like if there's two of them there, talk between themselves off like who might be able to help or something. Just like you're noticing that people are being a lot nicer to you here, at least.
All right.
But still nothing. Eventually, if you're not going to do anything else on your walk there, you are led to a small, it's bigger than a shack, but not quite like a full house. One story wood building, not completely in disrepair, but definitely like kind of hodgepodge patched together. Sort of on like the very edge of the hill to the point where like half of it is almost like on stilts, kind of like keeping it up. And she's like, well, this is it.
And this is
my house.
Okay.
Well, I just needed to grab a couple things if we were going to, be at that tavern for a little bit.
Okay.
She opens the door and heads right in.
I'll just kind of linger, like, just outside the doorway.
You can come in.
Okay. I'll take, like, one step inside.
You take things very literally. She'll kind of skip past you, shut the door behind you, sort of go in. So it is probably about 2/3 of the house is just, like, all level with each other. There is a desk with like some papers on it and stuff, as well as a staff that is kind of resting next to the desk, with like 2 or 3 bookshelves on either side of the desk filled with various, looks like maybe magical or arcane ingredients. There is like a rug kind of sitting in the center, a small kitchen, sort of as much of a kitchen as anything can be in a house like this, kind of set off to the side of the house that the stilts are on. It's just like a couple of cabinets, a small island for preparing food, and a couple of like knives and stuff for preparing it, but nothing. And like obviously like a chimney rising up that has like a place to put like a pot or something if you're boiling something. Other than that, there is like a bench to sit on with some cushions on it, like next to the rug, and sort of like like maybe 2 steps up. For the other third of the house is set like a little bit higher than that. It's just like a large, maybe 5 or 6 feet wide, 7 or 8 feet long mattress. It's just like sitting on the ground, as well as like an armoire full of clothes that is sitting on each end of like opposite the beds. Like the bed's here, one thing here, one thing here. That's it. That's all that's in here.
Why
Seems
would
very
you?
plainly decorated.
Why would you stay at the inn if you have home?
Well, you know, it's nice and fancy and kind of, it's like a new adventure.
Okay.
Also, because it means I don't have to be by myself for the whole day, so like that's also pretty cool. But double also, you remember that part I said about not having a lot of money? You know what costs money? Food.
I understand the food, but you're going to stay at the inn as well?
Yeah.
What about your sister? Won't she be missing you?
Well, she's at the she's up in the Noble District at the Palace and the Mage Academy most of the day. She typically leaves pretty early in the morning, and a decent portion of the time isn't back until well after sunset. So she mostly just sleeps here. I'm the one who lives in the house mostly.
Okay.
I mean, she kind of has to make enough money for us to, survive and whatever. But hey, this will be fun and exciting at least. And she kind of like rummages through a couple of her things on her desk, kind of packing a small satchel, putting some papers in, putting some arcane ingredients and miscellaneous items into her bag. She, for a moment, takes out and sets her focus on the desk and is kind of just focusing on organizing the bag. You doing anything while you're in here?
Staying near the door.
Nothing else?
I'm not going to rob this girl.
I'm just making sure I'm giving you the freedom to do whatever it is you would like. Alright, so about 5-10 minutes go by. She packs her bag and all that stuff. She seems just about ready to go. When on the door you hear, followed by, Gab, are you in there? And Gab kind of like is looking at you, goes a little bit wide-eyed in panic. Before, yeah, Cole, I'm in here. I'm actually in here with, I brought a friend over. And you hear from the other side of the door, kind of like muffled, not loud enough that Gab can hear it, but since you're standing right there, you hear, a friend. How many times do I have to tell that stupid girl not to bring people over to our house? Every single time she meets a new person, and you hear like, kind of like.
Is there a window like opposite the door?
Opposite the door?
Yeah.
No, there is, kind of like a window set maybe like 5 feet away from the door on the same wall that the door's on, and then a window set over top the bed. That said, they are both very small windows. They are
I can't throw myself out the
they're about 8 like 8-sided windows cut into it with glass, with panes, wooden panes running through them, and they are only about maybe 18 inches from the top to the bottom.
So I can't throw myself out it.
You could certainly try, but it would take a good jump, and you would have to use a whole lot of force to break through the glass and the wood.
Never mind. I'm going to try and position myself so that when the door opens, I'm behind it.
Alright, as you do that, the door swings open, and as it does, you are met with not only Gab's sister Colette, but you are met with another character as well, a male half-elf, and for now, we will need to bring Pat back in. Alright, so thank you so much for watching our very first Session 0 of this new campaign that we will be streaming for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed filming it. I had a lot of fun. Hope you did as well.
Definitely.
Next up will be Pat playing Sylvanus. And then, as you can see from the end of our first Session 0, after that will be the finale of both of their combined Session 0s. So until next time, I have been Liz, that has been Maddie, this has been Penelope, and this has been Ginger Ale. So, yeah, we've been the Unlucky Few, and we can't wait to see you next time. Bye!
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be live streaming starting November 9th at twitch.tv/TUFD&D. If you want more content or updates from us, feel free to follow us at Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, all at TUFD&D. Links in the description below. But from all of us here at The Unlucky Few, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. What?